JavaScript objects have properties which are name value pairs. At the same time, objects have methods, and methods are functions which are declared as properties within an object. This object is of type car, and it has a type, it has a model, and it has a color. An example here is that the model is 500, then the color is white. And you have a way of getting now or displaying the data within that object, which we are using document or get element by ID. And you can declare that and then using the inner HTML method, then you have the car type is, then the way to access the data within a method, which is the car.type to access the type. And even you can access the model, and you can access also the color. Methods are functions which are defined as properties within the object. So an example here is that based on this object, which is given with first name as John, a last name as Doe, then age and the eye color, we have a method that is called full name is the name of the method, but then the function itself is that it's supposed to return the full name, which is given by first name added, or this is a concatenation, the last name, because these are two strings. The first name is a string, the last name is also a string. So an addition to string, that gives a string concatenation. We have the this keyword. So the this keyword, which is used within the function or the method, it refers to the owner of the function, which means in the example above, this is going to refer to the person object who owns now the full name of the function. And we can say an example here, which means that this dot first name means we are referring to the first name property of this object, and the object is now the person. This is the way you access the methods. One, you can use the object dot method name, or you can have name is assigned person dot the full name. So an example of this way of accessing a method is given by this. So you have first name and the last name, and then you have the function, which is the method, which is the full name, and it has the definition there. Looking at the way we display the data, which is within that method, is we use the same way we were accessing the properties. The same way we were accessing other properties is the way we access also that method. So you can see, like here, to get the name, the full name of this person, we are calling the method using the name of the class, I mean the name of the object, which is the person, dot the name of the method, which is now full name. So you have to remember to put that brackets there at the end of the name of the method. The date object has different methods that you can use to access. So one of them is a new date. So when you have a new date, then it creates the date object with the current time and date. So that's the function of the new date. Then when now you have that new date, you'd want to know whether probably it's year or the month. So this is to specify, you know, the different things that you'd want to get in that date. Then you have the get methods within the date. So if I click on the get methods within the date, One is that you can get the full year, you can get the month, you can get date, you can get hours, and each one of these methods you are given, you're told what it gives. So the get hours, this one will get hour between 0 to 23. Then this other one, which is called get day. So the get day method is that it gets the weekday as a number between 0 and 6. So you could also have decided to get a month, and this one is going to get the month, which is between a number of 0 to 11. Conditional statement determines which action will be performed based on a different condition. And there are several conditional statements that we have. One is the if. The if statement specify a block of code to be executed if a specified condition is true. We also have else. The else block of the specify a block of code to be executed if the same condition is false. So the if decides perform this if this condition is true. Now, if the condition is not true, the else block of code is executed. Then we have the else if, which specify a new condition to test if the first condition is false. Then we have switch, which specify many alternative blocks of code to be executed. The if statement is written in this form. So you have the if, which is a keyword. Then you have the condition within the parentheses. Then you have the block of code to be executed within the curly braces. So an example is given here. We have if hour is less than 18, then you're supposed to greet good day. So the result of this greeting will be good day. So we can try it here. We are getting a new date, and then you get hours. So this is a function that is getting the hours of the day. So the new date dot get hours is going to tell how many hours we are at today. So if the hours are less than 18, then you're supposed to be told good day. That's the condition that is going to be executed. The else statement will specify which code will be executed if the condition is false. So we start with the if, then you have the else. Let's try it. We are going to have the greeting together with which hour this method is giving here. So if we click on the try it, you can see we are getting the good day, which means the hour here is less than 18. This is something I can even add here. I can have hour plus then some space. So you can, if I run this, then I click try, you can see we are at 16, that is at 4 p.m. So that is so 16 is less than 18, which means now it is a good day. But if it's get to 18, that should be 6 p.m. Then what you're supposed to have is something like good evening. Else if statement is going to specify a new condition. So with this one, you can add several conditions that you can have. And that's why you can see there was the condition 1. There's now a condition 2. And even you can add another else if to have even three conditions or even 4 conditions. And if any one of these conditions are not going to be executed or are not going to be true, then the last else is going to be executed. So an example here, if the time is less than 10, that is to mean up to 10 in the morning, then the greeting we are going to be having is good morning. Anything between, if the time is less than 20, that would be 8 p.m. We are using the 24-hour clock, yeah? So if the time is anything less than 20, that should mean 8 p.m., then you're going to be having the greeting as good day. But if the time is now anything higher than this, then we are going to have a good evening. If I click on this, then I know we are going to have a good day. The reason being, the hour we are at, which is 16 or 4 p.m., is at the condition where else is less than 20. I can add another condition here for a good afternoon and also a good evening. So what I'm going to, I'll just copy this code, then paste it there. So if this is less than 19, which will mean 3 p.m., then the greeting is going to be, no, this is 7, this should be 15, 3 p.m. This is going to be good afternoon. Then if it is something less than 8, then it's going to be good evening. Then if anything is above that, it's supposed to be a good night. So I have added another condition. And if I run this, now we are getting a good evening because we are at the hour which is less than 20. The switch conditional statement is used to perform different actions based on different conditions. And the syntax for the switch statement is like this. You have the switch keyword, and then you have an expression between parentheses. And after that expression, then you have the curly braces. And within the curly braces, you define the cases that are going to be executed. This is how it works. You have the switch expression is evaluated once. So the expression here is evaluated. So the value of the expression is compared with the value of each case. So whatever expression you had given here, the value of it is going to be compared with the value you've given here as X, Y, or any other value that you're going to have given. If there is a match, the associated block of code is executed. So like now, if after executing this expression, I got X, it means case X is the one that is going to be executed. So the block of code here is executed. If after I have evaluated this expression, I got Y, then the block of code where case Y is what is going to be executed. So if there is no match, the default code block is the one that is going to be executed. Let me show an example. We are getting a date using the getDay method. And when you get that date, what we are checking is whether, so the values that are returned by getDay, it's going to return the values from 0 to 6. These are the days of the week, where 0 is on a Sunday, then Monday is 1, Tuesday is 2, Wednesday 3, all the way to Saturday. So case 0 is going to be the day is Sunday, then case 1, the day is on Monday, and you can keep giving that. So I would expect that today being a Thursday, the value that is going to be returned is 4. The break keyword is used to break out of the switch block whenever a block has been executed. So that is the work of the break keyword that you can see being used, which means after we evaluate something like the day is Wednesday, then there is no other case that is going to be executed. We are just going to break out of the switch block. So it will stop the execution inside of the block. The default keyword specifies the code to run if there is no case that is going to match. So if we have a getDay method, which is supposed to return a number between 0 and 6, but our interest is on the weekend, which is either Saturday or Sunday, then we would want to write a default message, because we know from the evaluation of that method, we might get other values which are not 0 or 6. And this the example that is given here. Let's try it. It checks whether the value is 6, which will be a Saturday, or 0, which would be on a Sunday. So if it is not any of those values, then it is going to default to looking forward to the weekend. So when this expression is evaluated here, it is going to give the value of 4, because today is on a Thursday. So the value that is going to be given will be a 4. Because of that, that way you can get the expression that is being given on this side is looking forward to the weekend. We have common code blocks. So this is where you will want different switch cases to use the same code. So like an example here is that this case 4 and this case 5 are going to have the same code being executed. So whether you have the case being 4 or the case being 5 from this expression, then it is going to give the same message that soon it is weekend. But if it is going to be 0 or 6, then it is also going to evaluate the same code. It is weekend. And now if it is not any one of these values, then what you evaluate is looking forward to the weekend. The loops are meant to execute a block of code a number of times. There are different kinds of loops which are given here. So you have the for loop. So this loops through a block of code a number of times. You have the for in. This loops through the properties of an object. You have also the for of, which loops through the values of an iteratable object. You have the while loop, and this one loops through a block of code while a specified condition is true. Then the do while loops through a block of code while a specified condition is true. So a for loop has this kind of a syntax. It has statement 1, statement 2, and statement 3. So the first statement is executed one time before the execution of the code block. Then the statement 2 defines the condition for executing the code block. This is what we call the code block. And then the statement 3 is executed every time after the code block has been executed. The first time is that we are going to have the for loop being called, and then you have I is equals to 0, so the number is going to start at 0, which is the number is 0. Then it goes another loop, because now the value has been incremented to 1. We check is 1. So the 1 here is going to be now equal to, I is now going to be equal to 1 after the increment. So 1 is less than 5. We also output that. Then incremented again from now 1, it's going to become 2. And you see the value 2 there, incremented to 3 and then to 4. When we increment it to 5, it's going to come and check, is 5 less than 5, which is not true. So if 5 is not less than 5, then this condition is not going to be printed. That's why you see now here, you don't have the number is 5, because 5 is not less than 5, hence the statement is not going to be printed. The for in loop, we have said is used in loops through the properties of an object. So you have an object person, and it has a first name and a last name and the age. And so we are using the for loop to access those values of the person object. So if I click on the try it yourself, you're going to see, so the person is has a name, a first name, a last name, and also the age. So I'm going to have for X in person, then what I want to get is the person at the position X. So it's going to get the first one, which is the person. Now the X here is going to look at the person and get all the values. So it's going to loop through all the items or the property values of this person object, as long as there is an X in that person. So it's going to take this X value and check whatever the person contains. So it is going to print out the John, the Doe, and the age. So that way you can see John Doe age, which is now 25. So if I was to put another property, ID, and the ID here is probably a number, something like that. Then I run this. You see, also now the ID is added there. The for off loop also loops through the values of iteratable objects. So the way it's defined is this: for, then you have the variable of, then iterable object. You put the object there. So what we want to ensure is that this one, mainly we are going to use it through arrays, strings and maps and node list. Those are the ones that you can iterate through. This is an array. And so what we are checking is that for X of cars, then you output document.write, and you can see now we are giving the X. So it's going to give all these values here that we can iterate through. And even if I was to add another item for the array, then I click on the run, then it's going to also have it added there. The while loop loops through a block of code as long as a specified condition is true. And this is the syntax for the while loop. So you have the condition, and then you have the block of code to execute. Something to note is that the code will loop, the code in the loop will run over and over again as long as the variable I is less than 10. Because this is what we are saying, that as long as I is less than 10, then we are going to keep having the code, executed several times. So this is the way it's going to be. So you have I is set as 0, and then we are trying to check that value. Is I less than 10? And you can keep now executing that one several number of times. So when it gets to the value where I has been incremented, we are incrementing I here. So when it gets to this point where I is 10, we are going to check, and we find that I is not less than 10. So the number is 10 will not be executed. The do while loop is a variant of the while loop. So this loop will execute the code block once before checking if the condition is true. Then it will repeat the loop as long as the condition is true. So that's how it varies with the while loop. That one is we are sure that at least the code is going to run once, even before we check the condition. And this is the syntax. So you have the do, then you have the while condition given there. So we can check, try it yourself, and you can see it's going to start with the I being 0, and then it starts to execute. So if I is equals to 0, then it's going to be executed here, and it will keep checking that until checking the condition whether I is less than 10, and then it's going to execute that.